Hello, everyone. I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist. I'm really glad you're here with me today. And whether you're joining live or watching the replay later, before we begin, I want to acknowledge something gently. You don't have to arrive here with answers, and you don't have to be in crisis, and you don't have to explain yourself to anyone in order to listen to this conversation. There is a phase of healing that almost never gets named. It's not the beginning where everything feels raw, and it's not the point where everything feels fully settled either. It's the space where life may be calmer, you may be functioning, and you may even be handling things better than you used to. And yet, somewhere inside, there can be a quiet thought that says, I'm okay, but I don't feel fully but I don't fully feel like myself yet. So you'll say, I'm okay, and I don't fully feel like myself yet. So not in a dramatic way and not in a frightening way. Apologize, I've been losing my voice the last several weeks. Anyway, so I'm going to try to continue here. Just in a subtle, hard to describe way. When that happens, many people start to wonder if they're doing something wrong, if they should be further along, or if something is missing. What I want you to know right from the start is this, that middle space is incredibly common, and it doesn't mean you're stuck. It doesn't mean that you failed. It often means your mind, your body, and your identity are still synchronizing with the safety or stability that has started to return. So healing isn't only about leaving survival, it's about slowly recognizing yourself again. So today we're going to talk about that quiet middle phase, that the part that doesn't get headlines, it doesn't get celebrated, but it is often where real integration happens. And as you listen, you don't have to analyze yourself, and you can simply notice what resonates and allow the rest to pass by. So if you found yourself quietly relating to that idea of, I'm doing better, but I don't fully feel like myself yet, I want to gently normalize what may be happening beneath the surface. Because healing is often misunderstood as a single destination, a moment where you suddenly arrive and everything feels clear, strong, and resolved. But healing is rarely a straight line, and it's almost never a single moment. It's layered, it unfolds in stages that don't always look dramatic from the outside. And for many people, the first visible stage is leaving survival mode. The chaos decreases, the constant urgency softens, the environment may become safer or more stable. And when that happens, people often expect relief to be immediate and complete. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Leaving survival is not the same as fully integrating safety. You can be safer, you can be more stable, you can be making healthier choices and responding differently than you once did. And still notice moments where your reactions, energy levels, or confidence don't quite match your present reality. And that doesn't mean you're stuck. It doesn't mean you're regressing, and it doesn't mean you missed a step. Very often, it simply means your nervous system is still recalibrating. Your mind may understand that circumstances have changed. Your body, however, learned patterns over time, and the body tends to learn safety more slowly than the mind does. So think of it less like flipping a switch and more like dimming a light, gradually brighter. There can be moments where you surprise yourself with calm, and there could be other moments where your body reacts faster than your awareness. And see, both are normal. Healing isn't only about getting out of survival, it's also about allowing your internal systems, your nervous system, your sense of identity, your self trust, to catch up with the external changes that have already begun. And that catching up phase is not failure, it's integration and progress. And as your nervous system slowly recalibrates, something else begins to shift. Something so quietly that it's easy to overlook identity. Not the identity tied to roles or responsibilities, but the deeper sense of who you are when you're not in protection mode. When someone has spent a long time adapting, being strong, or scanning for what might go wrong, their authentic preferences can go quiet, not because they disappeared, but because survival required focus elsewhere. So when safety or stability starts returning, people sometimes notice subtle questions arising. Questions like, what do I actually enjoy now? And why does this feel unfamiliar even though it's calm? Who am I when I'm not managing a problem? See, these questions are not signs of confusion or regression. They are often signs of reconnection. Identity rarely reemerges with loud declarations or sudden clarity. It usually returns in small, almost unnoticeable ways. A preference you didn't realize you had, a boundary that feels easier to hold, a moment of curiosity instead of urgency, a quiet pull towards something that feels more like you. And because these shifts are subtle, people sometimes dismiss them, thinking that's too small to matter. But identity doesn't typically come back all at once. It reappears in fragments, in gentle recognitions, in moments where you pause and realize you're responding differently than you once did. Now, this stage can feel unfamiliar because of, unfamiliar for a long time. The priority may have been safety or stability, not self expression. So, when self expression begins to return, it can feel new, even if it's actually return to something that was always there. So there's nothing wrong with not having immediate answers here. Identity is not something you force into clarity, it's something you allow to unfold through noticing. And noticing is enough. You don't have to define yourself in this phase. You just simply begin recognizing yourself again, piece by piece. So, as identity begins to reemerge in these small, quiet ways, many people unintentionally introduce pressure. And this is where the middle phase can become uncomfortable if we're not careful. See, the mind may start saying things like, I should be further along by now. I should have more clarity. I shouldn't still feel this way. But the middle phase of healing is not a performance stage, it's an integration stage. This is the space where permission matters more than progress. Permission to pause, permission to notice without labeling, permission to be in process without turning it into a problem to solve. See, healing isn't measured by speed, it's measured by the gradual return of self trust. And self trust grows when you allow yourself to be exactly where you are without rushing yourself forward or criticizing the pace. In this middle space, pressure often slows integration. Permission, on the other hand, creates room for alignment to happen naturally. You're not behind, you're not late, you're not missing a step. You're allowing your internal world to align with changes that may have already begun externally. And that alignment doesn't need force, it simply needs space. So if you find yourself in that middle space where we talked about today, where life is calmer, you're functioning, you're making progress, and yet you're still quietly getting reacquainted with yourself, I want you to hear this clearly. That phase is not a mistake. It's not a delay, and it's not something you have to rush through. Very often, this is a stage where integration is happening beneath the surface, where your nervous system is learning that calm can last, where your identity is reintroducing itself in small, steady ways, where self trust begins returning, not through force, but through permission. You're not doing healing wrong if you're here. You're actually in a phase many people reach, but few people know how to name. And sometimes simply having language for it can reduce the pressure people place on themselves. So if today's conversation resonated, even quietly, you don't have to take immediate action. Awareness itself is a meaningful step. And if you ever want to space to talk through this gently, to explore what might be recalibrating for you without pressure or expectation, I do offer healing clarity sessions. And they're simply conversations. They're not coaching, therapy type sessions. They're not evaluations. They're nothing to perform and nothing to prove. It's a space where you can exhale, notice what's unfolding internally, and gain a little more understanding of where you are in your own process. See, some people use that space to find language, some use it to gain perspective, some simply appreciate being met without urgency. And whether you choose that or simply leave today with a little more compassion for yourself, both are valid. You're allowed to be in the middle. You're allowed to be in progress. You're allowed to recognize yourself again at a pace that feels steady and sustainable. The middle isn't empty. The middle is often where alignment quietly begins. I want to thank you for joining me in today's session, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.